Hey guys, now we're gonna take a look at the third Spider-Man action figure in the Spider-Man Retro Wave, which is the Spider Armor Mark 1. A quick look at the packaging. It's on the consistent Spider-Man Retro series artwork. There's a cool artwork of the Spider Armor over here. I like the shading on his armor, it makes it look shiny. And over here we have the figure in the plastic tray. He's got two thwip web shooting hands, as well as two web accessories. Moving on to the back of the packaging, there's the consistent Spider-Man retro branding, that same artwork of the Spider Armor, some instructions over here to show you how to swap his hands out. There's a description of the character as well as the other figures in the wave. And finally, some product information at the bottom of the card. So let's go ahead and get him open. I do collect all my retro card backs, so I simply slice off the bubble to unbox the figure. He comes with two web accessories. These are cast in a translucent plastic, letting a decent amount of light through them. They're sculpted to look kind of organic, while the piece on the right side has kind of a strange shape to it. I don't really know what these web effects are for. They're still a cool accessory, but I'm not sure how I'm supposed to put them onto the baddies. If you have a good idea of what these web effects are for, just leave a comment and we can exchange some ideas. He comes with two twip hands that are cast in the black plastic. There's also nice and shiny silver paint on the armor plates on the back of the hands. The silver paint is very nicely applied and also reflects and catches the light really well. If you look closer at the hands, there's very fine sculpting to show the texture of the fabric. The fingers also have web lines on them. These twip hands are articulated inwards as well as outwards. These twip hands are good options when playing with the figure. It's a slight pity that he doesn't come with wall-crawling hands. But the pegs for those hands are compatible and you can borrow them from the symbiote Spider-Man. These hands are also black in color, but you will have to fudge with the white rectangles on the back of the hands. Onto the figure itself. He's made of completely brand new parts. Most of him is cast in the black plastic, with a really uniform silver paint added over those armor plates for a really nice, shiny, consistent finish. I find it a little strange though that the design of this figure is based on his game appearance, when I think that for a retro series it would have been more appropriate to base this figure on the Armored Spider-Man look from the animated series. But I'm still grateful to get this in 6-inch figure form. I do believe this is the first time we're getting a Spider-Man in his black and silver armor in 6-inch figure form. His head sculpt is really cool. It's actually cast in the black plastic with a really sleek silver finish all over his helmet. His eyes have really sharply painted dark gray paint with a matte finish, and that really contrasts nicely with the rest of the figure, which is mostly silver and black. Those eyes really make me think of some advanced lenses fitted to his helmet. There's also sharp sculpting for the web lines all over that head sculpt. Onto the back of it you can also see some black design elements, and this texture is consistent with the rest of the advanced fabric all over his outfit. Moving down to his torso, he's got a spider logo in the middle, really sharp black paint application for that logo. And that's helped because that logo is actually sculpted recessed into his chest plate. That probably helps with keeping the paint within that sculpted logo. The armor plating on his torso is sculpted with web lines. Those web lines have a more rectangular look to it compared to regular Spider-Man outfits. Once again, that same uniform, shiny silver finish. It looks really impressive and catches and reflects the light really well. The reflectivity of the light also brings out all that sculpting in the armor plates. However, the silver paint also does have a few flaws. Once you get to the edge of those armor plates, like over here on his belt, you will notice that some parts of his armor don't have that silver paint applied all the way to the edge. You can see that over here on his left shoulder pad as well. For the parts of his body that are not covered by the armor plates, it's got that same fine texture on them. And this texture makes me think of some special advanced fabric made up of carbon fiber composites or Kevlar. All the armor plates down his arms are also given that nice silver finish. And on the back of his torso is where this paintwork really shines, literally. That huge spider logo over here has a fantastic finish to it. It really shines and reflects the light so well, almost like a chrome finish. So this is really fantastic work from Hasbro. The armor plating is also painted even on his elbow joint. And on the insides of his forearm, there is also a small cool detail. I like how there's even a small element over here just to represent his web shooters. Moving on to his legs. On his thighs, they are not protected by any armor plates. It's just that same advanced fabric. But over here they're sculpting to show that at least there are different panels for the insides and outsides of his legs. We see that same metallic silver finish on his knee pads, shin pads, as well as the top of his feet. I'm really pleased with all this silver paint all over his body. It really stands out against the advanced fabric. And despite this not being my ideal retro animated series armor design, this figure stands out by having its own modern kick-ass look. For articulation, his head is on a double ball dumbbell joint, so you can spin it 360. You can get quite good sideways tilt as well, looking down that far as well as up. He's got a swivel hinge at the shoulders, so it spins 360 as well as going out beyond 90 degrees. Upper bicep swivel for 360 spin. Double jointed pinless elbows that gets you very good range. He's got a mid-torso ab crunch, so that gets you good range forward as well as backward. He's got a waist swivel, so you can spin him 360 as well. Ball jointed hips, that gets you out that far, as well as forward and backward. Upper thigh swivel, so spins 360. Double jointed pinless knees, that gets you very good range. Even though he's got some design elements over here that could possibly hide a swivel, he actually has no calf swivel. He's got ankle tilt upwards, that gets you quite a bit of range, as well as downwards. And finally ankle pivot outwards, as well as inwards. He's definitely not as well articulated as Ben Reilly Spider-Man or Symbiote Spider-Man, but he can still pull off quite a few flexible poses. And really, what can be cooler than an armored Spider-Man? Throwing in a couple of homemade webs, I'm really having fun posing him. I suppose I'm just terribly drawn to a web-slinging Spider-Man in silver armor. While playing with the figure, I found his head's upward tilt a little limited. I realized that his neck piece is actually a softer plastic in order to have this dumbbell joint inserted. And so I cut off about 1 millimeter of plastic from the back of the neck with a hobby knife. The upward head tilt is still nowhere near as good as Ben Reilly Spider-Man's, but is definitely improved when compared with the original. And removing that little bit of material still ensures that the lower ball of that dumbbell joint stays stuck into that neck socket when you remove his head. So now you can pop on other head sculpts like the unmasked Peter Parker head sculpt from the Spider-Man and Mary Jane 2-pack. The neck might appear just a smidge too long, but I think this unmasked head sculpt looks good on this figure. For size, he stands at just under 6¼ inches, and that's under 16 centimeters. For size comparisons, here he is with other Spider-Verse characters, with Kingpin and Hammerhead, Venom and Carnage, Peter Parker and Mary Jane, Iron Man and Black Widow, some G.I. Joe Classified series, and you can see the finish on him is pretty similar to the visor on Cobra Commander, and finally some Star Wars Black series. Despite this not being exactly the actual 90s spider armor from the animated series, I can appreciate that this is a modern design that is a homage to the original. He could have used some wall-crawling hands instead of those strange web accessories that I can't find a use for. Still, the shiny silver finish is the best part of this figure and makes all the armored elements stand out. The articulation is still passable to get him into most typical Spider-Man poses. Ultimately, this figure definitely adds a distinct and awesome suit to your Spider-Man collection. Please like and share this video, let me know what you think in the comments below, and subscribe to my channel for more toy reviews. Also, don't forget to check out my TikTok and Instagram accounts linked in the description below. Thanks for watching, take care and stay safe.